Yeah, so we can see you guys.
Just send it.
Yep. Turn your certificate so it's facing Chase, let's see yours. There you go. Great job. Don't cover your faces, guys.
Evie, come back. Good height.
Guys, I'm picking it. Shh, Connor. Yeah, boys.
Yeah, Bobby Jordan. Have a great night. Hey, Bobby, you did a great job. I listened to all the games. With the feed was terrific. When you got to Rhode Island, they didn't have the camera anymore, but the sound was excellent. So you did a good job. I appreciate it. It was fun. Have a great time. Have a great summer. The rest of your summer. Enjoy your school year.
Carl, thank you.
See you next year, right?
Thanks, everyone. Thank you. I appreciate it. This is great. Thanks again.
I got home.
That's Plasko's on me. Yeah.
Thank you.
Are these guys in fifth grade now? All fifth grade.
All right. I note that nobody signed up for public comment this evening. If there's anybody in the audience who would like to speak to an item that's on the agenda this evening, I would also note that item 8, the proposed ordinance for snow removal from sidewalks, is not going forward this evening. Perhaps it'll come up on another agenda. If there is anyone who'd like to speak to the other agenda items, step forward. If not, I will then close public comment. All right, so we'll move to item 1, Resolution TC 30-77. Mr. Pifko, would you move this to the floor, please?
Certainly, Mr. Chairman. TC 30-77, resolution with respect to the authorization, issuance, and sale of not exceeding $25 million Town of Trumbull general obligation refunding bonds. Full resolution attached.
Second.
Thank you very much. Do we have a committee report from Mr. Cinto?
Yes. Maria Pires explained this is an authorization to refinance at a lower interest rate. $25 million in bonds that are callable. This is not new money. They are old bonds, and they are not extending the term of the bonds. The savings could be between $600,000 to $700,000 net of finance costs. The rates are already accounted for in the savings. They have already anticipated the market change and are already part of this calculation. The bonds go back to 2014. She did not have any specifics of each bond. The 2014 bond was a 20-year bond, and there would be 10 years left. Vote, motion carried unanimous.
Thank you, Mr. Cinto. The chair will note reference in the proposed resolution to the first select woman as being given the authority to go to bond market. So the chair will entertain a motion to change the words first select woman to first selectman wherever it is so written.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. I will note that the posted agenda had the reference as the first selectman, as the charter identifies the office. Just to be on the safe side, I've called for this motion to make sure that that is correct, because we don't have by charter the name or designation of first select woman. And I think that's been also requested by Mrs. Tesoro. Any other discussion or questions? All right, then I'll call for a vote on the motion. All in favor, please raise your hands. Thank you, Ms. Satin. Do you?
Yes,
You concur? Okay, thank you. It is unanimous. So we have the motion as, the resolution as amended, excuse me. Any other discussion? I think it was fairly succinct what we're doing here. Ms. Pires, do you have anything to offer additional? No? Okay. Then I'll call for a vote on the resolution as amended. All in favor, please raise your hands. Thank you. Opposed? Abstentions? Ms. Satin, do you approve?
yes,
Thank you very much.
aye.
Gotcha.
Making sure.
We like that. All right, we will move to the second item, Resolution TC 30-78. Ms. Cologne, would you bring that to the floor, please?
Certainly, Mr. Chairman. If everyone will forgive me, I left my glasses home. Resolution TC 30-78, be it resolved, whereas the town of Trumbull has developed and received conditional approval from the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, for its Hazard Mitigation Plan Update 2024 under the requirements of 44 CFR 201.6. And whereas adoption of this plan update will make the town of Trumbull eligible for funding to alleviate the impacts of future hazards. Full resolution attached.
Second.
Thank you. Committee report from Mr. Pifko, please.
Certainly, Mr. Chairman. MetroCog Regional Planner Nick Dostal and Megan Sloan, MetroCog Planning Director, were present for the committee hearing. Nick explained the plan is updated every 5 years and was last approved by Trumbull in 2019. The MHMP is aimed at reducing loss of life, personal injury, damage to property, infrastructure, natural, cultural, and economic resources from natural disasters. The plan includes Trumbull, Easton, Monroe, Fairfield, Stratford, and Bridgeport. Adoption of the plan makes Trumbull eligible for mitigation grant funding administered by FEMA and ensures continued participation in FEMA's community rating system, which provides a 10% discount to certain Trumbull flood insurance policyholders. Throughout the plan's development, MetroCog worked with Trumbull staff, including Public Works, Engineering, Planning, and Emergency Management. This collaboration identified actions and strategies that will reduce vulnerability to a variety of natural hazards. There were a variety of changes to the plan. Some priorities shifted and sections were added pertaining to extreme heat and extreme cold, which was previously unaccounted for in 2019. Megan Sloan further explained that there were additional FEMA requirements such as climate change. MetroCog hosted 2 public hearings for input and guidance on the plan with Trumbull, Easton, and Monroe. Nick Dossel noted that there were several dozen survey inputs from Trumbull residents that not only included answers to the survey questions, but qualitative answers relating to personal experiences with natural hazards in Trumbull. Vote, motion carried unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Pifko. We have Mr. Estrada here. Do you have anything to add to this resolution? Our Public Works Director.
Just one thing, please, if I may.
Turn the button. Press the button, please.
Sorry. Okay. Just one thing. The town engineer asked me to please convey that if you would consider emergency legislation for this motion.
All right. Is there any discussion on this resolution? It's pretty thoroughly vetted in committee. All right. Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of Resolution TC 30-78, please raise your hands. Thank you. Anybody opposed?
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Satin. That is unanimous. We do need to turn that mic off, please. All right, is there a motion to make Resolution TC 30-78 emergency legislation?
So moved.
Second, Joy Cologne.
Margaret's the best. She gets it all. All right, all in favor, please raise your hands. Thank you. Anybody opposed? Abstentions? Yes, good. Unanimous. Thank you. We'll move on to item 3, Resolution TC 30-79. Ms. Sather, would you bring that to the floor, please?
Sure. Resolution TC 30-79, be it resolved that $95,000 is hereby appropriated from the fund balance to 01013800-581888 Town Hall capital outlay.
Second.
Thank you. Committee report, Mr. Cinto, please.
Thank you. William Moyer explained this was the originally going to be bonded, but it was requested to take it out of the bond and go into supplemental appropriations. This resolution is for town hall conference rooms, Long Hill and the Nichols and the town council chambers. Maria Pyrus confirmed it was decided not to bond and to go through the general fund. This would be part of ARPA, but it would still need to go through the ARPA authorization process for additional projects, which there would be a delay in these projects. The first selectman, Tesoro, noted there is $355,000 of ARPA funding that has not been allocated and recommended passing this now. It does not have to spend. They can talk about using ARPA next month. Motion carried 4-1 against Cinto.
All right, thank you. Any discussion, questions on this? Ms. Isaac, go ahead.
Sorry, George, for you. I didn't notice it during the budget. The council chambers is not being painted included, and the carpeting. It's just the Nichols and Long Hill for that?
That's correct. In that round, this coming year, we will have additional requests for improvements in this room, including consideration for seating for people that come to meetings.
And then just cheap me, I brought this up before, but I know that sometimes Dimitri's people have on staff during the slow times, they're able to pick up jobs, like Abraham Nichols. Is there any chance that perhaps some of the painting might be able to, if it's a slow period?
Yes, the answer is, if possible, we try to do a lot of in-kind in these projects, including carpentry and all of the other trades. So if they are available as things get scheduled, we're right now trying to coordinate with some improvements, additional HVAC improvements now that we have all of the mechanicals on the roof completed, but that will, now the next phase, when they start coming into the building, they start affecting the ceilings. So at that time, we incorporate the painting and lighting upgrades and that sort of thing.
Yeah, so when it makes sense.
Right.
So. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, discussion? If not, I'll call for a vote. Do we need a roll call vote? Okay, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll? Aye.
Mike Buswell.
Yes.
Mary Isaac.
Yes.
Michael Colahan.
Yes.
Bill Mecca.
Yes.
Ann Sather.
Yes.
Jennifer Winchell.
Yes.
Veronica Lenzen.
Yes.
Richard Wolf.
Yes.
Jason Marsh.
Yes.
Ashley Gaudiano.
Yes.
Carl Massaro.
Yes.
John Foreman.
Yes.
Joe Pifko.
Yes.
Scott Wick.
Yes.
Joy Cologne.
Yes.
Steve Lemoyne.
Yes.
Kelly Malazzi.
Yes.
Tony Cinto. Kevin Shively.
Yes.
Nicole Satin.
Yes.
All right, that resolution passes. Is there a motion to make this resolution emergency legislation? Thank you.
Second.
Were you unanimous on the emergency legislation or not?
Yes.
You're,
Am I faster than everybody?
it's too bad you don't see what's going on in the room. But you're right on. Can we adopt this emergency legislation by unanimous consent? Hearing no objection, it's adopted by unanimous consent. It's an emergency legislation. We'll move on to item 4, Resolution TC 30-80. Mr. Mecca, would you bring this to the floor, please?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Resolution TC 30-80. Be it resolved that $25,000 is hereby appropriated from the fund balance to 01022-600-581888 EMS capital outlay.
Second.
Thank you. Committee report, Mr. Cinto, please.
William Moyer explained this is for a carport for the EMS chase car. Currently, the car is parked in the parking lot, not the garage. If there is an emergency call and it has snowed, they have to clean off the snow before they can respond to the call. It was confirmed the carport is not solar. Motion carried unanimous.
Thank you, Mr. Cinto. Any questions or conversation on this one? If not, I will then call for a vote. All in favor, please raise your hands. Thank you. Ms. Satin?
Yes.
Thank you. That is unanimous.
Yes.
Very good. Thank you. Is there a motion to make this emergency legislation?
So moved.
Thank you. Do you have a second? Mr. Buswell, thank you. All in favor, please raise your hands. Ms. Satin, did you raise your hand?
Yes,
Thank you.
I did.
Good job. I know you did. All right. We'll move on to item 5, Resolution TC 30-81. Mr. Wolf, would you bring this to the floor, please?
Resolution TC 30-81. Be it resolved that $70,000 is hereby appropriated from the fund balance to 01030-581-888 Fleet Maintenance Capital Outlay.
Second.
Thank you. Committee report from Mr. Cinto, please.
William Moyer explained this appropriation is for the design to renovate the fuel pumps at DPW, Department of Public Works. The fuel pumps are quite old and are very well needed in an emergency. The fuel tanks are self-contained, a tank within a tank, and they are above ground. They do not need to be replaced. No, they do not need to be replaced. Mr. Maurer did not know the age of the fuel tanks. This appropriation strictly for fuel pumps. Motion carried unanimous.
Thank you, Mr. Cinto. I have a question for a Public Works Director. So this appropriation is for design, and the pumps need to be replaced. Is it really?
Do they really need to be replaced?
No. Why don't we just? Do we really need to design what we're going to replace?
We do, because they have to investigate the entire replacement, including environmental assessment and everything else. This week, I could tell you that we had a failure of one of our unleaded pumps, which triggered in motion we're working on contingency plans in case we ever have other pumps, especially during our leaf season or snow plowing season, go down. Those pumps support fire, police, EMS, and public works, as well as the town fleet. So the design, a fueling station like this, we feel we do need to design, because we also have a canopy there that was inherited from Connect's garage back 35 years ago, that we believe is no longer structurally sound, that will probably be part of that renovation, but that has to be validated by engineers.
All right, so we're designing more than pumps.
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what the cost of the pumps will be?
The anticipation is, and these are not hard numbers, but our anticipation is $600,000 to $800,000 for the replacement of that fueling station. That fueling station we acquired used, so it was at end of life when we acquired it, because they were replacing it at a gas station. And 30 years later, this is way beyond the part that we were fortunate in the failure this week. They were able to find a gasket, a special gasket that they were able to reinstall, overnight it, reinstall it. But they've basically told us these are not supported. They can't buy parts for these pumps at all.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? Comments? All right, then I will call for a vote on Resolution TC 30-81. All in favor, please raise your hands. Thank you. Ms. Satin?
Yes.
Very good. It's unanimous. Is there a motion to make this emergency legislation?
So moved. Second.
All right. Can we adopt this by unanimous consent as emergency legislation? Yes?
Yeah.
Yes. All right. It is unanimous. We'll move on to item 6, Resolution TC 30-82. Mr. Colahan, would you bring this to the floor, please?
Absolutely. Resolution TC 30-82, be it resolved that $80,000 is hereby appropriated from the fund balance 010305000-581888 Public Works Capital Outlay.
Second.
Thank you. Committee report from Mr. Cinto, please.
William Moyer explained this appropriation is for the general maintenance of townwide sidewalks that has been done every year. Currently, there are 28 miles of sidewalks, and they are growing. They need to be maintained. They try to address the most critical ones. They recently did one side of Booth Hill School, Churchill Road, and Jane Ryan. They try to do the obvious needed fixes, but there is an ADA compliance that needs to be addressed too. There is a handful of issues that really must be addressed and that are ongoing. It was confirmed Churchill is a state road, but the town is responsible for the sidewalks. The state is responsible curb to curb. Anything in the shoulder is the town's responsibility. Chip and seal is not done on sidewalks. Vote carried, unanimous.
Thank you, Mr. Cinto. Any questions on this? 28 miles of sidewalks. Remember that. Any other questions or comments? No? If not, we'll call for a vote. All in favor, please raise your hands. Thank you. Anyone opposed?
Yes.
Ms. Satin, thank you very much. That is unanimous. Is there a motion to make this resolution emergency legislation?
So moved.
Thank you. Can we adopt that motion by unanimous consent?
Yes.
Anybody opposed? Apparently not. Thank you very much. We will move on to item 6, Resolution TC 30-82. Did we just do that? We just did that. Okay. Let's go to 7. Depending on which scorecard you're looking at, it's 6 or 7. So, All right. Resolution TC 30-83. Ms. Winchell, would you bring that one to the floor, please?
Resolution TC 30-83, be it resolved that $95,000 is hereby appropriated from the fund balance to 01030-500-5222202 Public Works Professional Services.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Cinto. Committee report, please.
William Moyer explained this is for Whitney Trailhead Feasibility Study. Tate Road is overwhelmed with parking all the time, and at the other end of the trailhead was very limited parking. This would create more parking in the vicinity of Whitney Avenue, whether it be in front of Indian Ledge Park or other possibilities that would be workable for people to access more parking and take some of the strain off of the parking areas. It was confirmed this appropriation is for a feasibility study, not construction. The Whitney Avenue trailhead has very limited parking and limited line of sight. There are a lot of people using it, and they are extending the trail down from Long Hill, so it has potential for even more use. Stantec Engineering Services has been involved in the trail, Long Hill green restoration, and the sidewalks. This will probably be combined with those. The estimate is based on experience. Vote carried unanimous.
Thank you. Discussion, questions? I know there is really no place to park up on Whitney. So some other development leading to, from other parking areas probably is a good idea. I worry about that intersection myself all the time. It's tough. Mr. Shively, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, is this something that Mr. Estrada could speak to? I asked in the committee meeting through the chair about where this figure of $95,000 came from, and the answer that I was given was that it's based on past experience. But as I'm reading this now with the minutes, one thing that it didn't dawn on me at the time was the mention of being combined. I'm kind of curious what you mean by that, and does that mean there could be cost savings involved? Because I understand that if we go out to bid for these things, we have to open it up to.
I think what they were indicating by combined is this design firm, Stantec, has the experience beginning at Main Street, the sidewalks and the improvements that are happening at the intersection where the signalization is going in. They designed the park design that we secured a loan for, a grant for, and it's a continuation. They had also participated in the design of the sidewalks down to Denellen. So this is a logical, incremental step because they have a lot of institutional knowledge of everything from traffic studies to just working along there, which will be very challenging because obviously when we do improvements there, these sidewalks, when they start going in, that's going to create closure of one lane. So police control on both ends and getting traffic through there. So it's their experience with that corridor is, I think, what they're talking about. So combining their experience with that corridor down to a parking area down below and tying it to the green where we anticipate that people that would come off of the trail would potentially go up and support those businesses up on Main Street.
And then has there been discussion with them specifically about that being the amount of money that it would take to do this kind of a study?
That was an estimate that they gave. I don't have all of the particulars, but I know that Bill had gone to them for estimates on an approximate number for designing the parking and the continuation of that project down to a new parking lot.
And then I just have one last thing that came up just today as we were discussing this before the meeting, and that is that I was reminded, and I had forgotten this or didn't know it, that the parking on Tate Road and the parking there at the top of the trailhead on Whitney do not require park stickers. Is that correct?
Because it was constructed through state funding.
Okay, and then that's why, and we are disallowed because of that even in the future.
Yes, we're unable to put any limits on that because it's funded, and the rails to trails, the trails themselves would never be able to be locked down for Trumbull use only because it was developed through funding that came from the state.
But perhaps additional parking may require.
It could.
Possibly. And is that part of the discussion as well?
Well, it could, depending on the funding, because if you remember, a lot of times what we do is we come to you for design. Once we have the design, we work with MetroCog and we try to secure the funding for the actual construction. So it all depends on where the funding.
So if it ended up coming from the state again, we may be under the same restrictions.
If we were to pay for it completely with Trumbull funding,
we would have the
then
choice.
We would be able to create a sticker-only type park. Yeah.
Okay, that's all I have. Yeah.
Ms. Gaudiano?
Thank you, through the chair. George, when are we putting the sidewalks from Main Street down to that trail entrance?
I believe that'll go out to bid this winter, so probably next spring.
Spring, you think? And that'll run from the business center down
Down to the
to the
trail.
trailhead?
Yes.
And from the trailhead to Indian Ledge or just to the trail?
Just to the trailhead. So
Okay.
this design will take us from the trail going to Indian Ledge entrance.
Okay.
And they've explored, just in walking with us, we've looked at different areas at that entrance of Indian Park. There are places that seem appropriate, but they have to do more research on that.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Shively.
One last thing, I just wanted to make sure that we're all, again, through the chair, that we're all on the same page here. I mean, the section north of there that goes up to Old Mine Park, that's separate. I mean, it's not considered, but we do have parking up there that is park sticker required.
Correct.
Because it's a
that's
town park, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. That's
so-
situated in a park.
But it is connected, so I mean, it is, you can use the whole trailhead from that location as
Exactly,
well. So, okay, thank you.
It's all about finding those wily trout in the river. That's why people like to go up on the Whitney side of it. Anybody else? Questions for? Go ahead.
Is one of the suggestions that people would park in the business area where Abby's Falafel and all that, because that also isn't a very plentiful parking lot. I understand we're making, the sidewalks are going to go from Main all the way down.
Right. We currently have a tremendous amount of pedestrian traffic on Whitney that goes from that Main Street area down to the trail.
Mhm.
So the sidewalk is just providing safe pedestrian passage in where people already are walking. When there is a parking lot established on there, I think that that's going to attract people to a parking area that they'll go for a walk and maybe walk up to Main Street to support businesses. So it's more that will be overflow parking down there for the businesses than the businesses being a parking place for the trail.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Comments? If not, I'll call then for a vote on Resolution TC 30-83. All in favor, please raise your hands. Thank you. Anyone opposed? Ms. Satin? That's a yes. All right, we have it as unanimous. Is there a motion to make Resolution TC 30-83 emergency legislation?
So, second.
Ooh, gonna get a neck ache. All right, can we adopt this motion for emergency legislation by unanimous consent? Ms. Satin?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, item 8 was held in committee, and so that will be rescheduled for the next committee meeting at the end of the month. And we'll take it up at that time. I think I'm out of business for us this evening. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you. All in favor? Ms. Satin?
Aye.
Thank you. Wherever you are, have fun.
Have a good night.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.
Okay.